Welcome to the Kitchen, the Celtic Caterer. I'm Chef McBride here. And I'm on my weekly crusade to teach exactly the world what is Celtic cuisine, this crusade that's going all over the U.S. for the last 6-7 years. Today we're doing something out of our soup, sauces, stocks, and stews cookbook. And if you want to get one of these cookbooks at the end, you can go to our website, The Celtic Caterer, and Chef Eric McBride on Facebook, or on our website, www.celticcater.com, and you can order one of the our cookbooks or any of our spices. Now, first of all, we're going to be doing, the recipe we're going to be doing out of this one is something out of Cornwall. Most people don't really get into Cornish cooking that much, and they think about Cornish game hens, but they're not really looking at a lot of the different flavors. Today we are doing a saffron and garlic soup, and saffron is actually one of the #1 flavors in Cornwall. They love that, and we'll talk a little bit about what saffron is first of all. So before we're going to start off with, we're going to get our pot going. And as always, I have a little bit of Kerrygold butter that's already melting down. And if you remember, been any of my cooking demonstrations, the reason why I like to go and say Kerrygold butter is because normal American butter uses between 17 and 19 pints of milk to make a pound of butter. Kerrygold is using between 21 and 23 pints of milk to make that same pound of butter. And what it equals out for us cooks means it has 3% more milk fat, but more importantly, 15% less water per volume than American butter. We tend to water down our butter, and some bakers like that South world, but what we're doing for our soup, we want that extra butter fat. So I've got my onions, and I've got some chopped onions. I already got some onions in there. I'm going to add a few more in there. A couple onions, full onions that cooked it there. And we want to saute this to the point where it gets, we don't want to get them brown, we don't want to caramelize them, but we do want to go and get them to go and get a little bit more of a cooked saute flavor. We're also going to throw in some chopped celery. And as I said, this is a garlic soup. Now, one thing that the Celts have always been when they're going to cooking anything is being very, very thrifty in all ingredients. And here's one of those dishes where everything's very thrifty. Normally, when we go and take our garlic, we press flat and take the skin off. Not so in this dish. We want to go and keep the skin. We want to go and add this to the skin as well. So they put a little bit of every bit of the garlic right into our soup base. And funny, it really does make a difference when it's, I've cooked in both directions. And yes, it adds a little bit more to the flavor. So when we've got our vegetables in here cooking here, we've got them sauteed a little bit and butter for it all. You know, we want to saute for about 5 or 10 minutes. The next thing you're going to add in is a little bit of sherry, cooking sherry for it all. And what this is going to do, just a couple tablespoons or so, and that's going to add to our overall flavor for this whole dish. We want that to season into it for all. Now, the primary ingredient, of course, is saffron, something that the Cornish people love to go and eat. Now, Cornish saffron, when you're doing it, you're going to find a nice little bottle like this one, but that's not how saffron is. And if you don't know what saffron is, imagine a flower. A saffron flower, and the little teeny petals way in the center iris, the part that the bees go and brush up against, go and pollinate, that is saffron. Just that small little bit that's very on the very center petals so forth. So when you take it out and dry it, that's where it, which means that you have to have a lot of flowers to make saffron, and it also means that it's going to be a lot very expensive. Good saffron that you can go up to as much as $300 an ounce. However, if you go to some not really nice, don't buy this at, you actually want to go to a spice shop. You know, Penske's Savory Spice, where I go and get most of mine. Other ones are just privately owned. Those are the ones you want to go and get your saffron from. Something like this can cost me between $10 and $20 depending on what it is, but the flavors immensely. Now, when you're wanting to do this, you want to use a pinch of saffron. Now, we actually do, the Celtic Caterer, sell little, yes, it actually has a pinch, a smidge, and a dash. They're actually measurements. Now, you would be surprised about how much of a pinch is. Most people, when we think, and we're just going to use salt, a little experiment here, is about that. And actually, that's not how a pinch was done. A pinch is normally done with 3 fingers. And so you're going to have a lot more of the materials going in. And I've always used to do 2 just like everybody else, and it wasn't until doing some more research so we find 3. So we get a lot of our saffron together, and we're going to put it in some hot water. And we're going to let this sit for about 10 minutes. And as you can see, the saffron has now really colored this water. And in fact, that's the big thing. You don't need much saffron to really make a big hit on this dish. So we're going to mix our saffron, and that's going to add so much flavor into this dish for it all. Mix it all around for it's all here. And at the same time, we're going to go and add in a little bit of our chicken stock. Now, you could use vegetable stock on this if you'd like to, but that's pretty much how you want to go and do for it all. So you can tell we're kind of out in the middle of the fields here, and we got our dogs kind of knocking or barking around on us here at night. So we've got our stock all mixed together here, and a little bit, about 4 to 5 cups is what you want to look. And at the same time, right now is when we're going to want to do is 1 bay leaf. Now, bay leaves are going to get you a lot more flavor. And a lot of the bay leaves in the time when the Celts were cooking were coming up from Turkey. They were part of coming into British and Celtic cuisine as early as the Crusades, when the combination of the people who were translating, going back and forth, were bringing back a lot of these herbs and spices for it all. When we mix all this into, we also want to see if we want to add into any salt. I'm not adding any more salt because I use chicken stock for this. A lot of chicken stocks have, as you can probably taste it, a lot of a saltier flavor for it. So I'm going to leave that right now as much of a salt as I'm going to. I am going to add in some pepper. Now, one thing you probably notice is that, or what everybody kind of thinks about, is a lot of Celtic cuisine, British cuisine, is not very spicy. But they actually use black pepper quite a lot. A lot of dishes. I actually once watched a show recently where Gordon Ramsay doing, and he takes a few cracks, and then he adds 1 or 2 ingredients, and then he takes another couple cracks at it, and then he adds a few more ingredients and does it again over and over and over. I have seen fishmongers do the same thing. Now, how much of that you want to put in is really up to you and how you want to flavor it. Salt and pepper is really much up to you for it all. Now, as a filler for this dish, we're going to be using a little white rice. Again, this can vary for you. I've already cooked up some white rice. Normally, I would throw in the white rice right now and let it all simmer together for, about 15-20 minutes. But to save time for a video, I've actually got my rice already cooked up. And I like to have a bit of the rice into it, my personal favorite. Original recipe calls for only a couple tablespoons of white rice, but I do love to have that ricey flavor into the soup for it all. So as this is all cooking up for us here, the last thing we're going to want to add into it is a little bit of heavy whipping cream, because as you know, the 8 Celtic nations are some of the biggest dairy countries in all of Europe, and so they are going to add in some heavy whipping cream. It also depends on who you're buying your heavy whipping cream from. In the United States, it's not as defined as it is over there on how much milk fat is in. There are a lot of different types of heavy whipping creams that actually aren't having as much milk fat in it as others. And so it doesn't really behoove you to go and pay $6 for one person's heavy whipping cream when you have another dish that's only costing you $4 and they've got twice as much milk fat, or what it's supposed to be. So experiment. Find your local area and test out the different heavy whipping creams. If it's too liquidy, if it's too far, then it's a little too thin for it all. And it won't get the flavor. One of the other dishes we want to add into a little bit of this right now is a little lemon juice. And that peaks up with the saffron. Really good flavor for it all. And then I always like to add in a little bit of my all Gaelic seasoning. That thyme, that white pepper, and garlic powder. Not much. Just a little bit, because we want to accent already, but we don't want to take anything away from the saffron in our soup. And we can go and mix this all together and let this simmer out for you for what you want to do before you go and get your soup. Get a little Nessie ladle here. And portion out our nice saffron soup. Get a good look on that right now. You got that nice creamy look to it, and oh my gosh, the flavor on this is tremendous. I really love this dish. We get a little Nessie spoon here. You taste the saffron into it. Taste the chicken stock. Be watching about how much chicken stock you put into it. If you wanted to make this a more meaty dish, you could put chicken into this. You could put shrimp into it as well to expand this dish out for it. Or as I like to do, a lot more rice into it as well. So this was a really good one. Like I said, it's out of our soup, sauces, stocks, and stews cookbook here for it all. These are all available at the Celtic Cater. We'd like to have you tune in next week as well, or in the middle of the week. We also do a little short somewhere. Some of them are telling you how to go and cook a little bit better with different types of flour, how to go and do Irish soda bread. Maybe it's telling you a little bit difference of the different types of turnips or so, or dried fruit. So something you want to go and keep checking in with us here. I'd like to thank you all very much. As they say in Gaelic, Slán Flúirt. We all meet again. Catch you later next time.